Sometimes we face problems in life that can only be solved through conversation. All that's needed is to talk a little sensibly, or in other words, we should know where and how much we need to negotiate. Whenever we're doing something big in our lives, most of the time we're actually negotiating. Whether it's negotiating salary during a job interview, bargaining the price when buying a car or bike, or negotiating the land rate when purchasing a house, this negotiation makes our lives a lot easier. But negotiating is not easy. Sometimes we find ourselves in tough situations that are not easy to get out of. But if we know how to negotiate, we can turn the situation in our favor. Today, from the book Never Split the Difference, I'm going to share 7 tricks that you can use during conversations to turn the situation in your favor. Number 1. Active listening. If you want the other person to agree with you, you'll need to use a bit of negotiation. And the very first point in that is active listening. When you are having a conversation with someone, you should listen carefully to what the other person is saying. While talking to you, he should feel that he is listening to me carefully. If you listen to them attentively, there's a good chance they'll end up telling you things they hadn't intended to share. While talking, you need to keep in mind that you are gathering information from the other person, not giving them information. That's why it's very important for you to listen to them carefully. Number 2, be a mirror. Now, when you're using the active listening technique, it doesn't mean you just sit there and listen to what they're saying. No, you also need to respond from time to time. For this, you can use the be a mirror technique. This is a technique where we pick out interesting or critical words from what the other person has said and use them to frame questions. By doing this, the other person feels that you are interested in what they're saying and they share even more details with you. Let's understand this with an example. Shika is taking a walk in the park in the evening when she runs into her childhood friend Chavi there. The two of them start talking. Shika: "Oh, you're here?" Chavi: "Yes, we've moved to this area." Shika: "Area?" Chavi: "Yes, we just moved into the yellow building over there 2 days ago." Shika: "Oh, 2 days ago?" Chavi: "Yes, actually my husband works at SBI Bank and he was just recently transferred to this city." So without Shika even asking, Chavi ended up telling her the address, and Shika also found out that Chavi's husband works at SBI Bank. There are 3 types of voices used in the mirror technique: late night FM DJ voice, cheerful voice, and aggressive voice. If you don't want to make the other person angry, then don't use the 3rd type of voice, that is, the aggressive voice. Otherwise, the outcome of the conversation will be completely opposite to your expectations, and this won't be good for your negotiation either. If you want to show the other person that you now fully understand what they're saying and there's no need to elaborate further, then use the first technique, that is, the late night FM DJ voice. In this technique, you use a deep voice and pronounce each word slowly so that the other person feels assured that you have understood what they're saying. The most commonly used technique is the second one, which is the cheerful voice technique. In this technique, you use an easygoing voice, which greatly reduces the chances of the other person getting offended when they hear it. They remain calm, and instead of becoming aggressive, their mind stays more focused on negotiation. If these 3 types of voices are used properly during negotiation, you can largely turn the situation in your favor. Number 3. Label the emotion. If you want the other person to listen to you and give importance to your points, then instead of ignoring their emotions, label them first. Let them know that you understand their situation and not just tell them, make them believe it too. By doing this, not only will they listen to you, but they will also understand you. Suppose the person you are talking to is very angry, then instead of ignoring their anger, you should say, "I know you are very angry. If I were in your place, I would have done the same." As soon as they hear this, they will calm down and start listening to you attentively. Now you can present your point to them properly. If you hadn't said all this at the beginning, they might not have listened to you at all and could have left without hearing you out, which could be very detrimental to your negotiation. This is called turning negative emotions into positive emotions. Number 4, master no. You must have often noticed that some people are very desperate to get their way in everything. They are not used to hearing no and can't tolerate it either. But this habit can be quite dangerous for your negotiations because there are 2 types of yes in the world. The first is a superficial yes and the second is a confirmative yes. It is very important to understand the difference between these two, because often people say a superficial yes just to get rid of you, and others think that their negotiation is going well, but that's not actually the case. Let's understand this with an example. Salesman, sir, are your teeth healthy? Man, yes. Salesman, sir, do you want your teeth to always stay healthy? Man, yes. Salesman, sir, does your toothpaste contain salt? Man, yes. From this conversation, you must have understood one thing. Even though the customer was answering yes to every question, he was not at all interested in buying the product. But the situation was such that the customer had no other option but to say yes. After all, who wouldn't want their teeth to stay healthy for their entire life? But while negotiating, we should also give the other person a chance to say no. This helps build the other person's confidence, which ultimately works in your favor. Let's find out how. An NGO fundraiser talks to a wealthy man. NGO fundraiser, sir, do you like seeing hungry poor children on the streets? Man, no. NGO fundraiser, sir, do you ever feel that this poverty will ever end in our country? Man, yes, of course it will definitely end. NGO fundraiser, so sir, do you think that only our government can accomplish this? Man, no, the government can't do it alone. NGO fundraiser, so sir, will you join our campaign and help us fight against poverty? Man, yes, why not? So, you saw how by using nothing, the whole situation was turned in their favor. In the end, the NGO fundraiser got exactly what he wanted by making the person say it himself. That's why, in our negotiations, we should also give the other person a chance to say no. Number 5 dates right. How happy do we feel when, while talking or negotiating with someone, they say that what we're saying is absolutely right? Why, isn't it? It feels like the other person agrees with us 200% and the outcome of the whole conversation will be in our favor. But in the end, that's not what happens. Have you ever wondered why? So let me tell you. When you talk to someone and explain something to them, and in between they say, yes, you're absolutely right. Actually, they don't really agree with you. They're just complimenting you. And in the end, they might refuse to accept your decision or reject the entire conversation altogether. That's why, in such situations, you should summarize your entire point and make sure that the other person doesn't just compliment you, but instead gives an affirmative answer that shows agreement with your summary rather than simply complimenting you. It might sound a bit strange, but believe me, this makes a psychological difference. So let's find out how. Aman and Nikhil work at the same company. Nikhil holds a higher position than Aman, but Aman is smart, dashing, and intelligent. That's why Aman is invited to an important meeting, not Nikhil. Nikhil gets very angry about this and threatens to fire him from his job. After learning all this, Aman goes to Nikhil's cabin and says to him, "Sir, do you want this company to suffer losses?" Nikhil, "No." Aman, "Then sir, tell me what I should do to calm your anger." Nikhil, "I just want you to focus on your own work and not interfere in mine." Aman, "Alright sir, you won't have any reason to complain in the future." So you saw how Aman managed to save his job. You can use this technique when someone is very dominating towards you or holds a higher position. Number 6. Bargain hard. Some people feel very shy about bargaining and consider it beneath their dignity. But we shouldn't think that way. Bargaining can also be done effectively when we have complete information about it. That's why it's very important that whenever you're negotiating with someone, you should have complete information related to it. For example, if you go to rent a room in a neighborhood and you know the rates of rooms in the surrounding areas, then you'll be able to bargain well with the landlord about the price. But if you don't know all this, then the landlord might quote you a higher rent and cheat you. That's why it's very important to do your homework before talking or negotiating with anyone. Number 7. Black Swan. Black Swan is a technique that has the power to completely change the entire deal or negotiation. But for this, it's extremely important to have deep knowledge and information. Now, what kind of information could this be? Let me explain. Whenever we negotiate with someone, there is some information that remains confidential. But that information holds so much power that if it gets revealed during the negotiation, it can completely change the outcome of the entire negotiation. During negotiations, we should always remain flexible and adaptable. We should never ignore the other person's information and knowledge. Every negotiation,